Well, we're talking about worship tonight.
Yes.
We're part of a band called Westside Worship. And Nolane, what do you do in Westside?
I am one of the singers. I do sing with Val. Generally, I do the soprano. What do you do, Val?
I also sing, and I'm one of sopranos. And occasionally I do the leading, like the talking stuff. And Nolane occasionally will take like directorship, choosing songs and wrangling us people.
I try.
You do a good job.
I try. Thank you, Lord. Okay. What's the most epic fail you've had on stage during worship?
I think you said you have an answer for that.
Yes. One that actually keeps me up at night till this day.
That's intense.
Yeah. And it wasn't even me singing. That's the funny bit.
What?
Never let me near a piano again. It's funny because I do it weekly, or monthly actually. It was during a baptism, actually, at New Hope. Oh, bless their soul, bless us, like the audio and everything. Me, I was playing, what's the song? Hold me close, let your love surround me.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, surround me, dun, 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 dun. So I get these random nerves like mid worship service. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I got this. I played this like 10 million times. I played it and I looked up and it was like dun 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 dun. Everyone was in the mood. Let your love surround me.
That's amazing.
I just had to keep playing.
That's amazing.
Because it was like
You gotta keep going.
It wasn't even the beginning. It was the build-up where everyone's like...
And you know what? The show must go on. Like, you can't stop in the middle. You just gotta...
I was like, I'm carrying you. Every chord was wrong. Every chord. And it didn't lead into the melody. I was like,
oh, gosh.
I'm so sorry. But it brought a smile to the congregation's faces and they continued.
And that's
praise
it.
the Lord God
That's all
Almighty.
that's all that matters at the end of the day.
To this day, I'm like, power of your love will just... Oh
my
close.
gosh. That's so funny. You get PTSD from that song.
Yeah. Biggest fail. That's what... all of my biggest fails are with the piano. Just don't let me on there again.
That's so funny.
I
don't really have, because I'm hypersensitive when I'm on stage. Mm-hmm. So I am trying to be on my best behavior because I hate being embarrassed. Mm-hmm. So I don't really feel like epic fails, but something I was thinking about when I was thinking about these questions is sometimes I talk too much. So when I'm like leading worship and the Spirit gives me like inspiration, I'll just keep talking. Everyone's standing there with their eyes closed waiting. The band's just playing the intro like 5,000 times.
It's like, and I'm
and sometimes for me I have to like consciously be like, okay, I need to get to the point because I feel like I've got a point, but I'm not the pastor. I'm not like preaching.
Just let her cook.
Right? Yeah, let me cook. But that's what I would say. Sometimes I need to reel myself into be like, and that's like, no one's ever said to me, been like, oh, like, actually, no, Tua sometimes he's like, Val, you're talking too long. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's not one fail, but it's probably happens semi-regularly where everyone's like, Val, shut up.
But
just let us sing.
I think it's a beautiful thing that you're able to do that. Because not a lot of people are able to speak on worship.
On like a song.
Into a song.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sometimes is missing in worship, where you kind of hear the message and then you just sing a song and it's kind of like this little awkward.
I mean, I think it's super important. And I think that's part of worship leading is leading the congregation in worship. So it's like you got to explain kind of why you're singing the song, because if people aren't really in tune with it, they'll just sing whatever or they'll just sing the words, but then it's not actually, I don't know, reflecting of what their heart is, right? It's easy to just sing songs because it sounds good, but it's like, do you sing it because you mean it? So I think that's why I keep doing it, even though people, in my head, I'm like, maybe I'm talking too long, but I would agree that you need to link it. That's the whole point, to make it like relevant and why these words, this combination of words, why it matters and why you should be singing these songs, you know? And I think as well, like when you're putting together like a service, I think when you're picking songs, you should, in my opinion, you should do it knowing what the sermon is on, so you can have everything. It's not like everything is leading up to this like big moment, but everything is, it's setting the stage and preparing people for then the word to be delivered. So I think there needs to be a lot of intention. Like my pet peeve, and the guys at my church know this because I talk about this all the time, is when I just hear someone get up and say, our next song is I Want to Die.
My best friend says the same thing. She's like, I don't like leading, but if the leader is going to say the next song is... Then put me on.
Because I'm like, that's not leading, that's just announcing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's not giving any connection, that's not giving relevance to the song. So yeah, if you're watching and you say the next song is, don't do that.
They find the synonyms.
But it's also like, it's preparation, right?
Yeah,
so it's knowing what your songs are, knowing why you've picked them, and then it's preparing to find ways, okay, how do I link the songs to each other, and then how do I link the song back to the gospel?
Yeah.
And how do I link the song to what the pastor's talking about? I mean, the role of a worship leader, I think, is much deeper than we think it is. It's not just singing songs. It's not just picking songs. Like, you are bringing people into atmosphere of worship. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I think there's a lot of preparation that needs to go spiritually, but also like physically preparing, knowing what the songs are, knowing what they're about. I think the preparation process that I take before leading worship is it's finding out what, like, specifically, right, either like a theme, like, so if you're doing it for like a camp, or like I'll take it for a church service, like even I'm doing it tomorrow, so I've got the theme from like an who's preaching, so I've got his theme, I've got his key verses, and I've got, and I mean, easy because I'm living with him, so now I know what the intention is behind his message. So now I pick songs with my band leader that I think, or that we think actually, because we've done it together, that actually are responding to that message. So the sermon's kind of about like prayer, so we pick songs that are about that, more like a dialogue between us and God, so either like leaning on him or drawing on him and that sort of stuff. So that's my process, is like, it's picking songs that fit, and not just that are just for fun, right? Like obviously there's so many songs that like we love to do because they're a great time, but it's like, okay, what's actually going to help people connect with what's happening the rest of the service? And then for myself, it's prayer and it's reading the Bible. You know, it's a lot of that sort of preparation to get me in a space to then be able to pour out into my congregation. Like when I get up to speak, do I have things prepared? Do I know why I've suggested the songs? Do I know why they're all linking? Do I have verses that back them up? You know, it's not just, oh, this song says this because of, you know, X, Y, Z. It's like, no, well, you know, Luke says this, or Acts says this, or like I love reading a psalm before a song. So, you know, Psalms, whatever, talks about this, and that's kind of, it's getting that knowledge ready before you then actually have to go and deliver it. And I think the more you do it, like if you've got a camp or whatever, then you're doing a lot more prep, you know, you're practicing and you're picking your sets. Whereas I think, you know, I think it's just whatever you do for like a one-time event or like a church service, and then you just kind of extrapolate it for however many sets you need. That's kind of what my process is. What's yours?
I'm very similar in terms of preparation. I'm someone who finds it very hard to open the Bible and flick through the pages. I find it very difficult. But a big thing that has come to my attention and that I have tried to be more proactive in is, and B said this to me actually at Kellyville, a Kellyville service, one of those, and he said to me, he asked me, why are you so tired? Why are you so stressed? I was like, oh, you know what? I have so many responsibilities, like leading worship. It's just a lot. Like there are a lot of nitty gritties, like picking the songs, having the singers ready, having the instrumentalists ready, because sometimes you're the only instrumentalist there who's able to do it. So you have to leave, play an instrument and sing at the same time, which is
a lot,
right?
Yeah.
And then he said to me, so what are you doing about it? And I'm like, well, I'm preparing. Like, you know, I'm getting all of the stuff. I'm getting all the material that I need. He was like, no. What are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm like, I'm praying. And he goes, but have you consulted with God? Like, would he want you to feel burnt out? Is your purpose of serving to be burnt out by the end of it? I was like, but isn't that part of service? Like, isn't being burnt out, like, isn't that how I should feel? Like, technically I'm pouring out, so like, yeah, I'm gonna be tired. He's like, what? Like, no, you should. You're not doing it out of your own energy. You're not doing it out of your own effort.
No, exactly.
That's a big thing that I tend to forget. So recently, I've made a really proactive thing to kind of sit down, open up like a 2-minute devotional, even if I have to force myself. I'm like, because I know that there are other powers trying to distract me from reading it or from going to the Bible. That's why it's so difficult. Not just because like, oh, I get bored.
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously something else going like, nah, you don't need to read it. You can read it another time. No, you can talk to God another time.
Yeah.
You'll have time. He'll always have time for you. Like, you know what I mean? But I think sitting down and finding a quiet place, even if it's like 5 minutes in the car where I'm like, here's a devotion, speak to me. I will be softened to whatever you want to tell me now. And even if the verse doesn't mean anything to me now, it'll 100% mean something to me 3 hours later or a day later or however long it is. So a huge thing is consulting with God and the Holy Spirit and having that community with me and my youth with me to be like, hey, we're having a connect. Let's talk about this. Hey, let's go back to the Bible. What was our lesson for this week? So yeah, a big thing is consulting with God and having that communication with Him and praying. And another really big thing that our youth tries to kind of implement is monthly practices. It's really difficult to get a dynamic together and find unity in worship if you guys just come together on Sabbath day. And like, look, sometimes you can't avoid it. Everyone's busy. Everyone has life going on and it's understandable. But as much as we can, we really try to push that. If we can get it at least that week and be prepared for the theme that we're going to. And like you said, as a worship leader, you are in charge, or you are also responsible for bringing your youth or your team into leading and outpouring into the congregation. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you don't know where your band is or where your singers are in their journey. And I think we also are accountable, and we have been given that accountability by God to be able to bring your team together and be like, hey guys, let's talk about it. How are we feeling and how can we move forward? Because I feel like everyone's feelings, everyone's like concerns or issues matters. Like if I feel like, oh, all of these songs are perfect, they're great, leave it. But someone goes, actually, I have a concern or I have a question. Like it matters, right? Because we can't have someone being, I'm singing this song but I don't even know what it means.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I'm singing, or I'm like introducing it but I have no idea what I'm talking about. Like I'm just baffling. So I think that's a really huge thing, bringing the team together at least prior to Sabbath day or prior to your worship is a really, really powerful thing to have in terms of unity and just preparation spiritually, mentally, emotionally as well.
I think that's a big thing, is making sure that the team is on the same page. You know what I mean? So it's not just, it's like, it's all of us, you know, all of us singers, all the band, whoever's like production crew or whatever it is, everyone understands like what the purpose is and why we're doing this. Because then that just creates, it's common ground, and then you can actually all work, you know, kind of as one. You're doing this as one. It's not like individually all these people are great singers and great musicians. It's like, no, we are a team that we've been gifted this by God to actually go and lead as people. So I think you're spot on that it's so important to have. And then, I mean, look, practice is a whole separate thing. Oh my goodness. It's a whole it's a whole nother thing. But I think being prepared starts with us, and then, you know, and then you kind of extend that to your team. But I also think people need it for themselves as well. Do you know what I mean? I feel like you can be a part of a team, part of a band or whatever, but I think individually people also need to be doing their own preparation and not just like riding on everyone else's kind of coattails. While I think sometimes, you know, we all bring different energy at different times. So sometimes, like, you know, you might have more than energy than me, so it's fine. We'll meet in the middle and we make it work. But I think generally, like, it's fostering like a culture of that we're all doing this together, and it's not for our glory, it is for the glory of God, and it's to bring people into communion with God in this time and in this way. And that's the purpose. And so everyone kind of needs to be on their own journey already. Otherwise, that's when you start getting people who are just there for fun, you know, and that's I think that's a good starting point. But I think to develop spiritual growth and worship culture that is in line with what the Bible says worship is, you know, not just what we see worship is on like the reels and YouTube and like, oh, this looks so good. It's like, it may look good, but is it actually worship that is pleasing to God is like a separate thing. So being intentional about having not just the people that are singing, but having everybody involved, I think it's helps us keep focused about what we're doing. I think and like I'll blow our own horn for a second, because I know that we are very good. Like we have solid singers, like our singers, like I love the singers, like everyone just knows what we're doing. Our voices blend really well. We know the harmonies, we're good. Our band is fire. Like everyone is so great and just like naturally great as well. And we all get along very well. So I think for us, it's, you know, it's easy for it to become like, oh my gosh, we're so good, right? But I think if you're taking other people along the journey with you, you're helping to stay grounded in what is the purpose of what we're doing. The purpose here is not just for us to sound great, like that's amazing. And we want to be striving to sound great because for us, that's giving our best to God. But at the same time, I think by taking people on the journey and recognizing that it's not just us, it is a whole team effort. Like this is, you know, we say the church is the body of Christ, right? There's all the different parts that play different roles. And obviously that's extrapolating the huge thing full in the context of worship. But it's like, there's all these different roles that get played in order for us to all create a coherent and intentional, for lack of a better word, and also like a holy space, I think. I'm saying I think a lot, but it's like if we think it's only people who are up the front singing, that's a very narrow view of what worship is, right? And then people who are just doing their jobs, right? They're in sound or they're coordinating, like what's their role in all of this? Are they just doing it because it's just something to be done? It's like a habit? Or are they doing it because they're actually serving God and they know that they are worshiping through their actions, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the question. So it may come out, your end results may look different or they may look the same, but I think the intention behind it is vastly different.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, look, I haven't been in Westside as much as you have, but in the time that I have seen so much beautiful things, so many beautiful things come out of what people would think as the background and production. Speaking on behalf of like my personal PA AV team at church, my brother is actually the leader and he has like a co-leader, Jadis. Leo, if you're listening, don't get your ego too high. But
little brothers.
I agree. Sometimes people undermine or underappreciate a lot of PA work, a lot of slides. Oh, slides, guys. Whoever does the slides for their church.
It's mad props. It's hard work.
Yeah, big call out to you guys because like I know that pastor is coming up to you. Like,
everyone's turning around as soon as having everyone's like
before their message going, can you put this on the screen?
Oh my gosh.
And there's like 95 slides. And you're like, oh gosh. And then they're all wondering why the worship slides are
exactly.
behind. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Big shout out to you guys.
Yeah, 100%.
That was besides the point. Anyways, what really stood out to me in my head while you were speaking is that with PA and with production and with sound at least, people are like, oh yeah, they're meant to amplify the music. They're meant to amplify the sound of the voices. I can't hear the piano or I can't hear the bass. Like turn them up a bit. But in reality, they're actually amplifying God's glory. Because what's limited to the stage is just, it's not really much. Like we can sing and we can do what we want to do in front of a congregation, but what is it for? Yeah. If it's just for us up on stage, like it's not really going anywhere. So I think the idea of amplifying and turning up God's glory is just a beautiful idea and way to think about it as well. I've also seen a lot of things like lights. Also lights, guys. Lights plays a huge part in worship as well. Though it's not like essential, people do have that place and you can foster and nurture a spiritual journey in that space as well. Like Westside Worship served at Southside Worship, call out to you guys as well, shout out. But we had, I think it was it Kip and another kid who was part of the lights and sound. Oh, they were incredible. These kids were like 14, 15 years old, and the way that they just managed and brought the energy and brought the vibes and led those kids into a space of like celebration as well. We're in a vibe where it was just like kind of sad and kind of, you know, down in the dumps kind of thing. And the way that they just brought that space up and brought joy within that realm, it was just so beautiful to watch. And to think that these kids have a space to, like, if they're not loud and they're not yappy like
us,
they're not yappy, they do have that space to serve, right? And it's not even just limited to sounds, lights, whatever it is.
No, it's all of it.
Yeah, it's everything in between. And it's really beautiful to see people's journeys come alive in that as well. Like Raina, my girl. Raina, and there's a lot of people that just drive behind Westside Worship and contribute a lot. Growing up in my church, my home church, it was quite, as some people would call it, conservative. Take that as you will. It was quite difficult to kind of, as a youngin, for me, it was quite difficult to kind of gauge how worship should have been, because I was grown up in just, this is the way it should be, like this, everyone quiet, like be respectful, one instrument, two at max, not too loud, keep it down, sing these songs, these are the songs that we should sing. And it was quite difficult. Also, as like a 10-year-old, you don't really have a voice. At 12, 15 years old, you don't really have a voice. And you can say what you want to say, but at the end of the day, the elders or the church board makes the decisions. So I think a very pivotal point of how worship changed for me and how I was able to contribute to a style, like not a style of worship, but having those different songs and involving these new things, came into when me and one of my friends became youth leaders in our new church, so fellowship, and we got put into a worship committee. So the worship committee started off with just these two adults. Eventually they started voting in younger people. They said the younger people need to have a voice. We are a growing church, and if we want this church to grow, we need to involve all ages of this church. And that's how we're gonna make this happen. And it's safe to say that we did achieve slow transition into welcoming a few more newer songs, songs that were theologically in line with what we believe in as well, which is a huge thing. The biggest point of having that worship committee was to be able to talk about what we wanted to introduce, why we wanted to introduce it, why we thought it was important. And I think the voice of the young people just needed to be heard and understood, because it just for a long time it had just been shut out and just been like, look, this is how we do it, this is how it's been for a long time, there hasn't been any issues now, why would there be? Or then, why would there be now? Until some of us just had the voice and we're just like, look, listen, this is not going to work if it's just going to please one demographic. How are you going to expect these young people to lead into it, to be in the space of their worship? Because times are changing, and like, you're not always going to have an organ there. You need to have a guitar, you need to have a box drum, you need to have something. And the lyrics, look, sometimes they can also get repetitive in these specific songs. So there was a lot of compromise, there was a lot of discussion, a lot of prayer over what we were doing and what we were going to change, and it was very slow. So it wasn't like, let's do a service with 5 new songs. No, it was never that way. It's like, no, we have to consider the whole demographic, old, young, middle, families, singles, whatever it was, everyone was in consideration. And that's the important thing. Like, you don't want to just serve one demographic for a church, because a church is for everyone. And wherever you are, you're serving for everyone in the community, not just for who you built the church for. I think that
change is inevitable. People change, times change, culture changes, and for me, the whole notion of, oh, we just do it this way because it's been done is not good enough. You know, I think that, okay, Adventists have, in my opinion, have a habit of doing things because we just do them, right? Particularly those of us who have grown up in the church, or you've grown up in a church that is maybe a bit more, it can be conservative or liberal. I don't think it necessarily matters. But I think there is a danger of not just Adventists, like Christians in general, of we just do things because we go to church every week and it's sort of like more or less the same thing. And I think it becomes really easy to not understand why you are doing the things you're doing, right? Why do you believe the things that you believe? Why do you worship? Do you even know what worship is? So I think that the danger in, well, we do it this way because that's how it's always been done, and I agree with you, is that it boxes in and it refrains. And really, when you think about it, if worship is supposed to be a response of us to God, right? That's like what worship is. And when you look at it biblically, in Old Testament and New Testament, so Old Testament, it's about bowing down and prostrating ourselves before God. And then in the New Testament, the words for worship are about serving and ministering, right? And so really at the end of the day, worship is not just, and this is why I say worship is not just music. Worship is a collective response. It's individual and then our collective response. So when we say, oh, we just do these things because it's how it's been done, then for me, my question is, are you doing it in line with what worship actually is biblically, right? Or are you just doing it because it's comfortable? So change is hard, but I do think you need to have, like you're saying, everyone needs to be on board with this, or at least whoever is in charge or whoever is leading the ministry or the committee collectively and prayerfully and in line with what the Spirit is also guiding as well, to show you, okay, perhaps we are maybe doing our own version of worship, right? How do we become more in line with what the Bible is talking about worship? And then you kind of work in with your own demographic and culturally what's relevant and what's appropriate, right? Because different families, different churches, different cultures will have their own. So I come from a larger church, which is more, I don't know if we're probably not, we don't sit on the super conservative. We're probably more like middle of the row parameter church. So we can be considered quite conservative, but I think we also are quite like flexible and more liberal in some of the things that we do. And years and years and years ago, we used to have like separate services, like a youth, and there was this back in the 90s, like a big like youth thing that used to happen in the hall, and then in the early 2000s, and then eventually the church decided that they wanted to combine. But then to counteract, then there were discussions about music style and the songs that you sing. One wanted to sing hymns, wanted to sing contemporary. And I'm really grateful. So like my dad and a bunch of the other leaders at the time did a whole like study on worship, right? And they went right back and they built a framework. And I'm the worship ministry leader like currently, and we still use this framework almost 20 years later, which just underpinned what is worship and why we worship. And therefore, once you know what worship is, then how can you build your services or whatever you're doing to actually be in line with that? And I think once you know what that is, then how you express that is Spirit-led, right? And the Spirit might say different things for different people or different congregations, different communities, right? If you're in a more like church plant, maybe it's completely different to say if you are in like, I don't know, a fifth generation Adventist sort of church, picking songs. Oh, okay. So the band knows that I am always, I think they might, that I'm always challenging when it comes to song choices. There's a spectrum of songs, and one of my friends she's a worship pastor in America, and we were talking about this one day, and she gave a great like sort of really cool snapshot that, you know, you, on one side of songs it's all about us, and then on the other side it's all about God. And I feel that as worship leaders we should be swinging more on the side of it's all about God, and then the ones that are about us is more about you how would I say, you do it when it's appropriate, or you do it in your personal time, right? Because we're not singing to ourselves about ourselves. We should be singing to God, about who he is, about what he's done, about what he's done for us, and what our response is. And there's a lot of songs these days that I don't feel like are appropriate for a congregation to sing because they are not about God. It is all about us, how I'm feeling, how, it's hard because it's like, I'll talk about what God has done for me, but the focus is not about what God has done. The focus about is me, how I'm feeling, and then how I'm going to get through this. And not that they're not important, but I think when you are in a congregation, the responsibility of picking songs that are theologically accurate and also appropriate for a congregation to sing. Or you look at lines and sometimes I'll hear a line and I'm like, guys, what does this mean? Do we actually believe in this, that this line, is that biblically accurate, or does it just sound good for like production's sake or for song's sake?
It's like that whole TikTok trend when people are like, I want to be tried by fire.
Oh yeah.
And then they're like, hold up.
Yeah.
What does this actually mean?
Do you really want to be
tried by fire? Do you want to be tried by fire? Do you?
Yeah. I think as a worship leader, as like a song leader specifically, that's your job, is to go and you look at the lyrics and you say, is this actually sound? Not just does it sound good, because anything can sound good. Anything sounds good when you can sing and you've got a fire band. But there's a responsibility, and I think sometimes we're not taking that responsibility. I just think it's important to be very intentional. We say this word a lot, and we say this word a lot in Westside, but intentional about what are you getting the people to sing? The way that culture is, it's all about feeling, right? I feel like we've made feeling become truth, right? So how you feel now trumps what is actually true. That's a dangerous place, right? And we talk about this a lot in terms of how you see gospel as well and salvation. But I think it's dangerous because then you pick songs because you like how they sound. You pick songs because they make you feel good, right? And then I think sometimes worship leaders, we're trying to, not intentionally, but almost like you're riding that emotive wave, like what's going to get the response from the people? But it's dangerous because then you're missing out on, it's just dangerous territory. I think it's dangerous, and we end up singing songs that we should not be singing. We sing songs that are putting us on a pedestal, and we're misrepresenting who God is and what God is actually trying to do. And that also means then, and I also think that leads on to conflict. Maybe conflict is a strong word, but disagreement or misalignment in terms of song selection and music choice and music style. Because now it becomes, well, I feel like this song is right. And someone's like, well, I feel like this song is really boring. Or like, this is how we should play it. No, this is how we should play it. That becomes dangerous. And I just want to say, if you don't like hymns, grow up, right? I'm so sorry. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. Hymns, if you look at those lyrics, they are so, okay, obviously I don't want to speak for every single hymn.
Yes.
But I would say on like majority, or at least the majority of the ones that are at least more popular, those lyrics are banging, man.
Agreed.
It's not even about, it's feeling. It's like those words will just show you the character of God in such a mighty and beautiful way. And you're like, it's so boring. Get over it. I'm so sorry. Because it's actually not that boring. Because if it's boring, then you are putting how you feel above truth.
On that, hymns do not need to be played on an organ.
No. They don't need to be played like it's at someone's funeral. No. Jazz it up. Jazz it up. That's all you need. Honestly,
Literally.
Hymns that are jazzed up, for me, I would pick a hymn jazzed up. Probably, like, if you told me this is what you've got the new stuff or the old stuff, bro, I'm going old school.
Yeah. Guys, listen to Gaither.
Gaither.
Have you heard Gaither?
And if you're not, I know, so good. Or if you're really not convinced, just go find like a black church doing hymn on YouTube. What happens before is preparation for what happens in front.
Yes.
And if before you are not following the Spirit is not guiding you, and you are leaning on emotion, and there's a place for emotion, right? We don't want it to be devoid of emotion, but it cannot be like emotion-led. It needs to be truth-led. Like what are you trying to get the people to recognize? You're talking about prayer, okay? You're trying to get the people to recognize that they can pray, that God is going to hear their prayers, that prayers will be answered. right? So then you kind of cultivate that thought, okay, you're trying to teach about how God is love. Okay, so you pick songs that are showing about God is love and these are the characteristics why, so people can know and believe that God is love.
I just wanted to share an example of what we experienced at Southside. A huge thing. Kids, even young adults, a lot of people, we can be easily manipulated in our emotions, right? I remember saying, guys, let's not do a slow song after the message. And we're like, why? Like, that's usually the vibe. Like, when you want to bring it down, you want to be... He was like, nah, let's do... What's that song?
Is it free?
Yeah.
What was it?
The sun sets free, is free indeed.
Oh, yeah.
And then everyone's just like got emotional whiplash. I don't think they were ready for it. And we're just like, you know what? Let's lean into it. Because why manipulate?
Yeah.
Why would you take advantage just because it's there?
Yeah.
Take advantage of
Yeah.
that. But that's not what the message is. The message is about freeing you, about Jesus freeing you. So why would I sing something that's going to make you sad again?
Yeah.
Just because you want the vibes to be down.
Yeah.
Like, no, you want to celebrate. You want to feel that joy. And you want to, just...
I think there's a picking the moments, right? Because there are moments where you do need more slower, softer songs, more solemn songs, right? But then it's like, if you're talking about freedom and that's what the message is, and then you're going and then it's some depressive song about like how you're still in your sin and like you need God to come and save you, then that's not aligned. It's not aligned. So picking songs again, right? And like, anyway. As
much as I love being part of worship and like leading the youth worship ministry, like I feel like I'm really involved. I feel like it's very fulfilling spiritually and I get a lot out of it. But sometimes I just feel like there's something missing where I don't feel like I get my outlet. And I had just been praying for it for so long and I'm like, God, when are you gonna tell me? Like, I was even gonna apply for endless praise. I was gonna do like all of these things and be like, I'm gonna go on tour, maybe I should just gap year from uni. And I was just like, you know what, let me just be patient, let me just wait and like write it out, see. And then SJ messaged me and I bawled for like half an hour and I was like, guys, Westside worship asked me to be... Anyways, the most monumental thing happened 3 months later when we were singing Christ is my firm foundation. To the point, I think it was like night 2, to the point where I just had to take my in-ears out. I was just like, I'm so overstimulated. I took it out legit. And I was like, all I'm hearing is myself and everyone else. And I'm like, hold on, let me just take it off. Music was cut. The whole congregation was singing. Lights were off. And I was just like, I'm just going to cry right now because everyone's eyes are closed. Like, I genuinely felt the Holy Spirit move. And they're like, no one was looking around and like seeing how their friend felt. It was like a genuine response into what we were singing. And I was like, I have never felt so moved where I was just like freely like just experiencing the presence of the Holy Spirit. And I feel like if I hadn't had taken my in-ears out, I would have just been so caught up in like, are we sounding good? Oh my gosh, our harmonies, like, oh, I can hear that person louder than me, like it's off-putting. I just was so blessed, and I feel like we were all very blessed to have experienced
I remember that night.
Movement, and it was just so beautiful. And it's not even just limited to that night. Like multiple occasions where it's been like that, and you're just like, the Holy Spirit, man, you move. You move. Like, I just,
everyone, like, people message you or they come and speak, like come and talk to you afterwards or whatever, and they're just sharing about how they connected with this song or they, realized this thing or this, and I just, like, that's so good. I
was like, that's on God.
That's spirit, man. Or even the coolest thing is also, like, if you sometimes don't have information from the preacher and then you get there and everything is synced up, like everyone's talking about the same thing, all the songs, and then the preacher is like speaking about the same thing that we've been singing about. Like that's also badass because you're just like, you can just see God in his finger is like, I'm coordinating, and the Spirit is like, I'm in control, and I think that's also really special. So I think something that comes up a fair bit, maybe it actually doesn't come up as much as maybe it should, but it's about performing versus leading worship. And when I watch YouTube videos and you see these awesome like worship bands, sometimes you do wonder, I think sometimes you've got to wonder, okay, are you performing or is it actually leading worship, and how do you for yourself navigate that space? And obviously this is, again, like I was saying, specifically to do with like the music part of worship rather than just worship as a whole, because worship is a response. But I think when I was driving here, I was thinking about this, and even for myself, I time and time again will just try and check myself and be like, hey, am I performing because, am I singing these songs because I like them and they sound good and I sound good? Or are we doing this because it's actually worship, right? So I think there's 3 ways. The first is what happens before, and it's about preparation. So it's preparing your own heart in what it means to lead worship and the role that you're doing and allowing the Spirit to use you. I think the second is what happens during a music set, right? And I think it's how you are doing the songs. If you are copying, let's use Maverick as an example. If you are just copying Maverick, word for word, beat by beat, down to the exact tunings and the sound effects and whatever, my question is why? Because that's what they're doing, right? And obviously we want to sing the same songs, but do you need to copy it? You know, so it's sort of like, how are you actually doing the songs? I think that's a great way to try and make sure you're not performing, because if you're trying to sound like them, then the focus is not on what the people are receiving. The focus is on how you guys sound, right? So that's for me is, okay, during a worship set or when you're leading, it's the intention behind, it's how you're actually playing these songs. Are the congregation following you? Can they actually follow you? If they can't follow you, then that's a bit hard. Like if it's really, you're having all these really off beats or it's a really difficult melody, that's hard, that's tricky. That's the second. The third is what happens after. I am a firm believer, and I was taught this years and years ago when we were doing like summer camps. When you are the worship band, like the music band, right, the praise team, production, sometimes you are sort of like unintentionally like elevated a little bit. Everyone's like, oh, like this is the band, like it's the, you know, oh, it's the singers, oh, you know. And it's easy to think that, oh, I'm so important in this thing, that you almost disengage from the rest of the community. And I think that if you are disengaged, then that's a really easy space to just be performative, because you could just come, do your thing, and then you can dip, right? But if you are connecting with people afterwards, if you are sitting there and sharing stories, like at summer camp, you know, production used to go and sit outside because there was obviously no room inside because it was all for the kids. And then after a while we were like, no, like we'll sit outside, but then we would go into the kitchen to do the dishes, right? We'll do stuff like that to help us be, again, a part of a community, particularly, okay, like for summer camps, for example, we would often miss out on a lot of stuff because we would have rehearsals. So we would hang out with some of the kids at some of the activities, but we usually would have to leave early because we need to rehearse and set up. And that's obviously totally fine and appropriate. But again, if you're not making the intention of how you connect, say when you go to like convergence stuff, right? We are up early, we're practicing, we're missing out on meals because we're practicing, we're missing activities because we've got to practice. Okay, but when are you actually connecting with the congregation? When are you sitting and hearing their stories, or letting them tell you their stories, or you sharing your goodness of God's goodness with you? Yeah. So I think that element as well is going to help bring your ego right down and remind you of why you do what you do. It's not because you want to be on stage and you sound good. It's because you are ministering and you are serving. And I think constantly putting yourself in a position to help you remember that is what's going to help you be less performative and more intentional, right? So it's before, during, it's a whole thing, because I think if any of those are out, then you can very easily perform. The minute you start sounding good and people start giving you applause, that's so easy to be like, oh yeah, we're so good, right? And then you want more and more of that because it's feeding an ego or it's feeding an emotion. But that doesn't necessarily translate to you are leading the congregation. If you're not connected to your congregation, if you're not engaged with them and you're not journeying with them, how are you going to lead them? Yeah. You know?
I think a huge thing as well is preparing your heart response to when people say, you guys did so well up on stage, like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. And I used to be that kind of person that was like, no, it was really bad. Did you hear all of the mistakes that we made? Oh no, we were off. No. My cousin called me out and she would be like, bro, just take the compliment and give it to God. Just take it.
Just say praise God.
Why are you saying,
praise the Lord.
Why are you saying no, and diminishing and belittling the talent and spiritual gift that God has put upon you and saying, no, it's not, I'm not on stage for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm still someone who struggles with taking compliments, but my first go-to will always say, praise God. Like he has been the one who has blessed me with this spiritual gift. He is the one who put me here. He is the one who's allowed me to discern what is right and what is wrong and what I'm doing. And obviously, if there's something that I'm not feeling was right up on stage, it's my conviction. I don't need to bring it out to the congregation and be like, did you hear what I did wrong? It's not for them. That's between me and God.
Yeah.
I can debrief with my team. I can debrief with the band. But at the end of the day, I personally don't feel like I need to bring that to the eyes of...
Because they also won't know the mistakes. Because they don't know what it was supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
So...
But that's also, like, vulnerability is important. Like, if that kid's going to come up to me and be like, how do you do it? How do you do it without being... Bro, I am nervous. I am go up on stage. It's a big responsibility. Like, it's not just something where you can just walk up and babble on about and sing your song and then walk off. No, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah. So vulnerability is a huge thing. Like, sometimes I might mess up.
But again, it's time and place, right? And if you get asked the questions and you can be honest. I also think it's easy to you can also just say thank you as well. I mean, I often am very much the same as I'll go straight to thank God. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's actually not that bad to accept the compliment because you know what? We have worked hard. Yeah. We have practiced many hours. We're up many early mornings, whatever. I think it's fine to say, oh, thank you, but praise God. Like all glory to God. Like, thank you for your compliment. Thank you for coming and sharing that with me, with us. Like, we really, and I love when we get feedback. I love when someone comes and says, oh man, this song did this, or I love this bit, or even when it's like, hey, musically, you guys sound great. It's like, man, awesome. Cause like the band's worked hard for this, but it's also not forgetting that at the end of the day, this is all glory to God.
I just wanted to share a quick framework.
Yes.
For anyone who is struggling to choose, or it's kind of like their first time into selecting songs, because I think it's good to give a little bit of advice of how to approach that.
Yep.
One of our youth leaders actually developed a little framework for us to choose as a youth worship team. It was good for everyone in the team to know why we were choosing for what part of the service as well, so that if someone was away, someone could step up. Yep. But if you're in service and you have, say, 4 or 5 songs to choose, these are some 5 topics or subjects that you want to focus on in terms of like chronology. So you would say your first song is praise, which is your declaration. Your second song is your deepening of confession or confession to God. Your third song is exaltation or affirmation. The fourth song is proclamation. And the fifth song is response to the whole thing.
From the front to the back, what is a role that you know you would be utterly tragic at?
Drums. Never put me on drums. Piano. Drums. Never put me on drums. I have rhythm, but it's not in my body. I don't know where it is. It's not in my hands or my feet. It's somewhere else.
Also the tech stuff, probably.
Oh, really?
I think I could maybe do like sound balancing, but I'd need to learn because I've not really been, like I know how to be around it, but someone was like, Val, you are it.
How do you turn it on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Could not
you know
do
which
it.
one I'd be completely tragic because I know I'm tragic at it.
Singing?
The word.
And you know what? Nolane, that's his biggest insecurity because he's all the time, he's like, guys, let me sing.
I know. That's what I said.
Wow. Wow.
Cut that out.
Well, always like, church, it's time to sing. You sing. And then he'll drop the mic. And I'm sitting there like, we changed this whole key for you.
I also think, just bouncing off your answer, I feel like Generic is also a really great person to be like, wow, the things that you have done beyond Westside is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, he's in a space where it's not just limited to worship musically. You know what I mean? Like the things that he's doing through social media and the things that he's sharing, he's very vulnerable, and it's and the same thing can go with SJ, like with his health ministry and journey and all of that. Like a lot of that stuff is a really beautiful thing to see. And I know we joke about like, oh, you guys left us or whatever. I'm kidding. But
She's not kidding, guys.
but it's really beautiful to see how much they've expanded that name beyond music. Because when we say Westside worship, like you said, worship is not limited to music. It's not limited to praise. And it's a holistic thing. And I think where these boys have taken it out to is just really beautiful to see. And they're reaching demographics and they're reaching people beyond the space that we are limited to at the moment.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I think we as a band give each other really good props. I think
Agreed, yeah.
If someone, you know, hits really cool harmonies or, you know, says something really cool before, or like band, like just, you know, hits all their points. Like I think afterwards we're quite affirming.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually really special. So I don't actually know who I'd, but I mean, listen, I think, okay, if I was going to pick any, I would say whoever is like in charge, like music directors, you know, like stuff that Dunn would do, like that's next level, right? Because you are so aware of, you know, and because I remember I sent Bees a reel the other day about how back in the day there was no music director, there was no in-ears, there was no like the ticket time, what's it called, the metronomes, none of that. We just we're just doing it, right? But I think, you know, stuff like Daniel does in terms of calling the chords, the numbers, the progressions, and then also paying attention to what's going on and directing us. I think that's boss, you know.
It's not for anyone.
That's not you.
Not everyone can do it.
No, you need to understand. I think you need to be fully understanding in terms of like what your musicians need and your singers need. So that's that role. I think anyone who picks up an MD role, yeah, that's hard work.
I think that's what I do worst at. I have a little bit of ADHD. Is that what you call it? Yeah, that.
Let's call
We're
it.
like, guys, where are we up to? We're running about. Is it the intro?
You'd be the best just to lead out, let the spirit move.
I would have a conversation.
Everyone would just be like
myself
to yourself. Everyone would just be doing their thing. Everyone would just know like we're
Drums.
not getting go. 1, 2, sing. Well, thank you for hanging out with us. We hope you have been blessed and informed and encouraged, inspired by us just sharing. And at the end of the day, we're just sharing our stories. We're just sharing our experiences, and we're just sharing what we've learnt and what the Spirit has taught us and is teaching us, and how God is using us. And you know, sacred worship is a sacred space, so treat it so. But also, it's a powerful space where the Spirit moves, and allow yourself to be used by the Spirit, and don't be afraid. You know, God will take and multiply in powerful ways that you could never imagine.
Yeah. And I just wanted to share this verse that we kind of hold within our youth as well. It's found in 1 Timothy 4, verse 12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. So I wanted to leave that behind as well, assuming we have a lot of young listeners, and for those who are young at heart as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to worship in spirit and in truth. That's Luke, I believe. So, yeah. Study the Bible, study the Word of God, and then let Him teach you what you need to know about worship.
That's it. Yeah.
So until next time, we'll see you later, and stay tuned for the next pairing in Westside Chats and Yaps.
Yeah. God bless.